My name is Janvi,
My name is Atif.
and as you all can see, we are standing outside the IFM Business School hostel. Let me further explain the problem that was earlier mentioned. The data here is being maintained manually by our model, be it daily attendance or taking leaves from the hostel.
The consequences of managing the data is mixed up with the other data, not feasible, and that is time consuming so much. And there's a lot of space problem in that particular email. This is a typical leave application form. If you look at it, the process of applying leaves is still manual. If someone from the hostel staff needs any information regarding a student leave related data, he has to go through the tedious process of looking into the register manually. This is one of the major issues we are trying to resolve.
This is exactly how the attendance is maintained here, the daily attendance and the leave attendance. To overcome this problem, our team has came up with a solution of creating a dashboard. The dashboard will be containing basic information about the students such as their name, room numbers, course, and the number of leaves they have to take. Now next up you will see the dashboard which our teammates will be elaborating.
The four pillars on which our project is made. Firstly, moving to the student details, where we have the complete details of all the 300 students of PGDM program.
I am going to show how to apply leave. Let's take example that Mohammad Atif Jafar will be going to take leave from 1 October 2022 to 3rd October 2022. Now I will show you Atif's record in database. We can see Atif's leave data is displayed.
And now we are going to see the macro function and the data validation and VLOOKUP function. So we have created the form for leave application at IFM College Hostel. So first let's go to the form, click on apply leave. And here we are, click on apply leave. Here we have created a form that contains all the student information like registration number, student name, batch, hostel room, block, student mobile number, parents number, leave from, the date, leave to, the reason for leave, the destination where the student is going, the leave approval status, whether it is approved or not, and the number of days. We have used this using the macro function. So using a simple example, let's understand how we did this. Here I have taken only 4 columns from the table, which are registration number, student name, batch, and the hostel room. The first step would be creating data validation using data validation list. The source here would be, this is the mock data that I created. Source here would be the registration numbers. Entering the source, we have got a data validation. We shall highlight this for easily identifying it. So as now we have created a data validation, we will use VLOOKUP function and student name and the details. Type the VLOOKUP function, the lookup value will be this. Table array, I have named the table as OM. So put the name OM. Column index number would be 2. As we need the exact match, we will select false. False, then done. Same for the batch or as well. VLOOKUP, lookup value, table array, column index is 3. The exact match, done. VLOOKUP for this as well. Lookup value is this, table array, column index is 4. Exact match. This is how we created the student information using data validation. Now the next step would be creating a macro for this, for submitting the data into the database. So for creating macro, first we have to go to the developers tab. then record macro, name the macro. We have named the macro as save data. Okay. So now the recording has started. The first step here would be selecting all the data in a table, copy it, then using our keyboard, go to the top of the table, use relative reference, using control and down arrow, go to the last entry of the table, then again use the down arrow, switch off the relative reference. Here we will paste only the values, and then back to our data. We will remove this and then stop the recording. Next step would be inserting a button to use all this. Select the macro, save data. The button is button 13, but we can rename this as save data. Now when we try to use this macro, we can see that whatever student registration number we are using, the student information is automatically coming because of the VLOOKUP. And then when we use this button save data, the student information is automatically getting transferred to this table. This is our database for the leave information of the students. So relating this to our example, we come back to our leave application, wherein we select any registration number. For example, here we have others Ashish. So as we can see, his name, badge, hostel room, block, his mobile number, parents mobile number has already been retrieved from the student database, which is this, as we can see the columns here. Then the next step here would be entering the leave from, leave to information. So let's consider he is leaving on 15th of August. 15th August 2022. Leaving till 16th August 2022. Reason for absence is going out station. Destination is Bangalore. Leave approval status is approved. Here we can see that it is automatically counted the number of days from 15 to 16. So when we save this data is automatically saved. These columns have been cleared, and we can see this leave related information. Adarsh Ashish database has been added to our leave information database.
Now we will show you how to retrieve this data from the database using a dynamic table.
Dynamic table which retrieves all the data based on your student name. So when you put in the student name, it will show you how many leaves and his basically all his leave related information. So something like this, like for this person, you have 3 days of leaves. This person, there's only 1 leave. So I'm just going to show you how I build this up. So here what I have done is I have just imported a set of sample data over here because it'll be more easier to show you. So the first thing I have done over here is I have created a data validation where I've added in all the names of these people. And the first thing which I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a reference column where I'm going to put this function. And this to this is going to be the range, and I'm just gonna lock the first part of the table, and the range is also going to be the same. Yeah, so what it does is it basically gives a count to the number of occurrences. So when I drag this up over here, so if you see there are 3 entries for Shubham Jerry, so it has given 3 counts. This counts for each of them. I will just pull in the count of the names. So I'm just going to use the countIf function. The range is going to be the name of students, and this is going to be my selection criteria. So for each of these selections, it is just going to show me the count of such selections. So if you see, there are 3 entries for Shubham Jerry, 1, 2 and 3. It's just showing me 3 entries over here. Now I'm just gonna pull in a few of the columns over here, add in a serial number, assign the first one as 1. So now the next thing which I'm going to do is I'm going to add a if function over here. So if this value is greater than or equal to the count, and I'm just going to lock this table because we're going to be dragging the column. If this is greater than or equal to this, then we should populate nothing. So if there are more than 3 counts, so this should just populate this as nothing. Otherwise, I'm just gonna add, keep on adding counts to this. So this plus 1, and that's it. So if you see, this should only populate this till 3 because the count here is 3. Yeah, and they should just change for everything else. Just like that, right? Because I'm going to create another reference column over here. So this, I'm just going to lock this and this. So what it is doing is it is basically creating something similar to this reference column, and this is the one which I'm going to use later on with VLOOKUP to match and build in the data over here. But here's a small problem. So if you see, after this section is over, it's just populating the data. So we're just going to handle this. So whenever this segment of the data gets over, it should just not populate anything. So I'm just going to use an if function over here. If this value is equal to nothing, then just print nothing, else this. So now if I drag this here, so whenever it finds nothing on this column, it just prints as nothing. Otherwise it will just print the same thing which we were trying to print. I populated this and I have the setup ready. So I'm just going to start using the VLOOKUP function here to pull in the data. So I'm going to just pull in VLOOKUP. This is what I'm going to use. This is going to be my table array. My column index number for registration number is 1 and 2, so I'm just going to put 2, and range lookup is going to be exact match. Perfect. So it just shows me my registration number. So if I drag this down, there's another problem over here. So we're just gonna handle this problem as well, because something similar to what happened before, the moment it's exceeding the serial number, it's just not able to reach out for the data. It's not able to pull out the data because this is the only number of records which is available. So I'm just gonna use a simple function here, which is if error. So whenever there's an error, I'm just gonna make it. Now if I drag this should work. So whenever there is an error, which is what was showing over here, I'm just gonna make this as nothing, right? And using the similar things, I'm just gonna populate other columns as well. So I'm just gonna, now based on the same logic, I have populated these 3 columns as well. I've just changed the column index number and I've populated each of these. Now this is the exact logic which I am using here. So if you see, based on the number of person, it will show in the data of each person. Thank you.
So next, we are going to see the dashboard, which is the main solution, as we can infer information and take decisions for the hostel related management on the basis of this. So this is our dashboard, wherein we have made charts and slideshows and also a timeline to take decisions. The first one is reason for leave, the second one is block-wise leave, the third one is approval status, and the fourth is a timeline. As we can see, there are different slices also, where we can see destination, it is Bangalore or outstation, block-wise, the badge, leave approval status, whether it is approved or not. So using simple example, let's see how to make slicer and charts using pivot tables. So this is our raw data where we have made all the pivot tables and the charts. So for example, let's create a pivot table. Go to insert, pivot table. Table range will be our leave application data which we have got from the student's application form. Select the whole table array. Press enter and you can see your interface like this. So for the first pivot table, we will select registration number and the reason for absence. So for the first pivot table, we will consider registration number and the block. So we will put the block in the value section. So for the first pivot table, we will consider the block and the registration number. We will put the registration number under the value section because we want a count of it. So after creating this, it is just a simple step to create charts from it. Go to insert, press on recommended charts, press on any chart that is suitable. For example, we can use a donut here. Press on donut. Okay. So we can see that a donut chart has been inserted. We can change the design style. So I have changed the design style. So from this, I can infer that 24% of the total leave applicants are from block D, 22% are from block A, 19% are from block B, and 35% are from block C. So let's create another pivot table to understand it thoroughly. Go to insert, pivot table. Select the table array, the same table array. Let's enter. So after making a pivot table, and a pie chart, we will make a slicer. To make a slicer, go to pivot table analyze, insert slicer, select what category do you want. So here we want blocks. When we select blocks, okay. So here a slicer has came wherein we can select any block to get information related to it. Similarly, we can also create a timeline from this section. To insert any slicer or timeline, we have to put our cursor on the pivot table so that the pivot table analyze ribbon comes and we can insert. Insert slicer, insert timeline. So on our dashboard, we have created different kind of slicers as well as a timeline. So on the basis of this, we can find out at what date a student has left, where has he gone, and if the status leave approval was done or not. The batch, the block, Bangalore outstation, and which month. So this was a solution for the problem of managing attendance and leave management in IFM College Hostel. Thank you.